Hello. Can you hear me? Let's see. Unmute, mute, mute, unmute.
Hello?
Hi.
You
There
hear
you
me now?
are. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for saying mute, unmute. That was the problem.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So now let's get this show starting. Okay.
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Samantha Rodriguez, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. Glad to have you on the show. And we had so many problems regarding the Skype connections and everything, and
Oh.
it's amazing that this is going on the way it's going on. But just got to laugh it off, and I'm going to give you the chance now to have the floor to tell your life story from a primary source perspective, and hopefully we do not disconnect. So go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your patience. And thank you, technology, for working with us now. So uh, let's see, where should I start? So I am originally from Mexico, was born in Mexico, and I moved to the US when I was almost 10 and grew up in a traditional, non-traditional Catholic family. Was quite a spiritual and religious kid and teenager. And then shortly, probably it was in my late 20s, I actually stopped, I got into the meditation and then I stopped going to Catholic church and I started going to a non-denominational church, which, opened me up to new ideas, and then got more into meditation. So 5 years ago, this summer, I started diving deep into meditation. I was meditating daily. Got myself a course, and had more so like my spiritual awakening. Um, and I was diving deeper into energy clearing. And so once I started doing energy clearing, I started to wake up even more. And I went through what I call my kind of galactic awakening, which opened me up to and more of energy work, quantum physics, ascension, and you know, quant new earth, and all these different terminologies. So I started going into the rabbit hole of that, and I started diving into that. And shortly after, like about a month or so, I literally said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to figure this out on my own, kind of, sort of. And so I did like a 6 month soul searching journey. And back in the day, I really didn't have anything set up. I mean, I had my savings, and luckily it lasted literally 6 months until I got called back from my work, and so I went back to work. And but I still continued my spiritual awakening journey. Again, more into the ascension and physical body ascension and all of that stuff. And so, oh, it's 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years after that, I'll give a reference, 2018, I went to meet a mentor of mine live, and she opened up her intuition course. And I've been wanting to, join her intuition course since I met her. And so I said, I don't even know when she's opening up again. I am diving in. I don't care what it costs. I'm going in. And so I did. I started her intuition course. It was almost a year long course. And so it opened me up to more things, and more gifts and more abilities, and absolutely loved it. I was doing that and, going to work. And and so then I started my own little energy healing, doing energy healings and private sessions and stuff like that. And uh, finally, last December, my soul kind of just told me again, it's time. It's time for you to, quit your job, trust, and don't look back. So I knew 2020 was going to be a big year, and I knew that needing to be I knew that I needed to be ready for it. So I said, okay, I'm going to trust. I don't have all of this lined up. I don't know exactly how this is going to work out, but I'm going to quit my job. And I was ready. I was ready to move on from that. So I was, happy. I quit in December, and the last 6 months have been crazy energetically, and going through the physical body ascension and going through all of these energy waves and all of these different changes in my life. I moved out of my parents. I moved in with my partner, and that was another a whole other experience, or roller coaster in itself. But then I finally did something that I wanted to do since I got to Texas. So Texas, and I didn't know it until now that I'm out of Texas. I had the hardest time adjusting when I just arrived to Texas. It was just very hard for me to adjust, and I always wanted to move out of there. I always said, oh, I want to move out for high school. I want to go back to Mexico, or college. I wanted to go out. And for some reason or another, it just never happened. And so after I had settled into my job, I kind of just left it alone. I kind of forgot about it. And then probably 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, my partner and I started kind of thinking about moving out. And I said, okay, sure, why not? But then I remembered how much I wanted to move. And so just last week, almost 2 weeks ago, we said we're gonna hit the road again, full like full faith, full quantum jump, trust. We know, not having everything figured out. I mean, we knew where we were landed, but other than that, it's just it's still been like this full leap of faith into the unknown, into completely different, state, completely different city. Again, I mentioned, I'm out in the woods in the middle of nowhere almost. It's completely beautiful, super peaceful. Really, it definitely gives another meaning to exiting the matrix, because you're literally you have less and less, you have very little ties to it. Unfortunately, in a way, the only thing, like right now, we're trying to figure out the technology, because our business does run on technology, and I'm glad we're still, we're still on. But other than that, it's been just bliss with just being in this energy, being away from the city. Mind you, I lived in a very dense city. It's just one of the top 10 cities in the U.S. So with everything going on right now, it just got crazy and crazier and crazier. And so you start feeling it energetically. You start feeling the heaviness of the collective. You start feeling the fear. You start feeling all of these things. And so, again, luckily, we were able to say, you know what, this is it. We learned our lesson. We're ready to move on. And, again, um, we jumped out. We jumped out of that city. And now we're here. This is more of a transition. So we're transitioning out, and we are looking at our next destination, basically. So that's pretty much where I am.
Well, I must say I do have a little bit of envy on you in that I am, for all intents and purposes, a bachelor who is living in his garage apartment on his parents' property and using his excessive free time to wake up humanity and get out of the matrix and use this radio show to get everything done that has to be done. And my mother has got me a job 9 to 5 that's still in business, even though it looks like there may be another shutdown because of COVID-19.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
I do hope that doesn't turn out to be the case, but it would be nice if I could find my dream girl. And I don't know what I have to do to find her. I mean, I would like to think that it would happen at some event that I go to because I'd rather not synthesize the relationship. I would prefer to not use websites like plentyoffish.com and what to synthesize it. I want it to be a natural thing where we generally meet up with each other in a way that was meant to happen. But everything being canceled and all now, I got notices saying that a couple events that were supposed to happen in the future have been canceled, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really driving me crazy. And well, I the only thing to do is go with the flow now. And well, what advice can you give to everybody else in regards to how we can deal with this? I mean, there is the idea that nobody can change the world because one person is just one small Mandelbrot set part of the greater Mandelbrot set. So whatever thing you do to try to change the world will be minuscule, but there are things you can do to try to enhance it and make things better for you and everybody else. So, are there any strategies? What are the best strategies that you think in this time of great challenge that people can do to both help their awakening and help others awaken and speed up the process so we don't have to deal with this civilization shutdown that's been driving people crazy and making our life miserable in some unpleasant ways?
Well, so first I wanted to say, so everyone has a role. So Andrew, you have a really important role, and I think you know that. So wherever you are in your life, and this goes for everyone, wherever you are in your life, there is, there's a meaning, there's a purpose, and so you are where you need to be right now. And I say that also following there, you're not going to be there forever. There's definitely a lot of movement and a lot of shifting going on, and every single being in this planet is going to be noticing it more and more and more. Probably first, maybe collectively, but at a personal level, you're going to start feeling it more, even though it does feel a little bit more shaky right now. It's like, oh, what's going on? This is not where I want to be ideally. Um, so so trust. But back to the tips. So right now, with everything going on, I'll speak from my experience and from what I've been doing and from I've been seeing that works for me, um, is really start to communicate with your heart, with your body, with your soul, because that's key. No matter what I say, no matter there is never like, oh, you have to do this first and this second and this third. There really isn't that. Everyone is in their own individual journey, and everyone has their own lessons and experiences. But once you start to really tune into heart and body and soul, you're going to start getting messages. And you're going to start, you're going to be called to do something, or you're going to be called to, be somewhere or talk to someone or even move, if that's the case. Um, And so that's really important, to really tune into you, to what you have to do. But going more into like, okay, everything that's just happening in the world, is essentially getting you to be distracted from what I just said, tuning into your body. And so I firmly, strongly believe that like shutting off the world at some level is really important. And I'm sure, you've heard it, and many people have heard of, stop watching, the news and the fear and the chaos and all of that, because it's just adding an extra layer to to our own fears. Now there is a level of, okay, if I'm in fear and everything out there is portraying fear, then there's something going on inside that I have to clear. It's the fear inside that is being portrayed by everything around us. So that's the beauty of everything that's going on right now, that is essentially is a reflection of what we still have to clear as a collective. But I strongly suggest tuning out of the world. You're not being left out. You're not missing out on anything. Because you have to establish your own sanctuary. And whether that's in your room, your house, your home, this is where you can, you know, essentially have the control of, okay, have the space where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable, where you feel that you can breathe, because that's not being portrayed outside. Everything outside out there is the opposite. And so we have to really make sure that we take responsibility for, okay, we all need to just breathe and tune in and go within, which is it's essentially what quarantine is all about. And then how can I do that? How can I create this environment in my home that is peaceful, that I can feel safe, and I could open up and I could dive into, into my, again, diving into my fears and diving into all of these different things that are blocking me from, opening up and finding the girl of my dreams, or finding my dream job, or, getting started on the business that I always wanted to do. So again, shutting it off, shutting off the news, the media. For me also was shutting off everything, and everyone at some level. So family, friends, neighbors, even though some of us do have a relationship with neighbors, some don't. But just, essentially trying to not get so much feedback, because everyone is in that, unknown, uncertainty energy. And so once you start to shut that off, you start to create a whole different experience for yourself. Even if you're still in a job, or, in a business, or you're still in some way or form connected to, find the time and give yourself the time to really build that sanctuary within you, without, in your home, in your bedroom, in your bathroom, everywhere, so that you can feel that. And essentially that's what's going to allow you to feel more safe and more safe out in the world. You're going to feel, it's going to feel less daunting, because once you start to really dive deep within you, you're going to start to remember, you're going to start to realize how things really are. We're supported in like the depths, the depths of it all. We're supported here. Like Earth is this Mother Earth is this loving, amazing, supportive energy that's here to help heal, support us. And so once you start to connect more to that energy, you're going to start to open yourself up. And once you start to open yourself up, you're going to start to see things different. You're going to start to experience things different, and it's like you're probably going to want to you're going to want to engage less and less and less and less with the outside chaos. Does that make sense?
Indeed, it does. And I can't help but notice that there are certain people in this time of great challenge that have their own unique style, how to best go about this. I mean, I am a overweight guy, but I'm no couch potato. But there are a lot of people that are couch potatoes, and even in this spiritual community, that can be such, and that's not what we want to have. I mean, Andrew Bartzis and David Icke have recently said, and they've been making very clear that all this stuff about Nasara, Jasara, RV, global currency reset, and everything happening to help humanity and all the stuff that's going to be released and come and save me, it's all a psyop. Well, it may actually be for real, but I think that they realize that pushing the idea that it's for real is going to make people lazy, and therefore people
Hmm.
need to be told to speed up the process, do whatever you can do, and that raises the question: well, what can we do? I mean, Andrew Bart says he once told me, consider quitting your 9 to 5 day job to make money off your radio show and charge people to make money off the show. And well, that's easy for him to say. He's got the ability to answer unverifiable questions by accessing the Akashic records, and can charge a person a week's paycheck for an hour session to do that. And I don't hold anything against him for that. He was put on this earth for a reason, and it's great that he was able to do that. And but there are people who, like the little guy, how is the little guy supposed to be able to get somewhere in this time of great challenge? And well, you don't want to use the dreaded when word, because everything happens not when but what. Time is an illusion, cause and effect. So, but my sources, some past sources have said, including Bull Pony and this guy I spoke to from Italy, whose name I'm dreadful with names. I remember a lot, but I'm dreadful with names. He talked about this upcoming November being a time of great challenge, being great shift, and well, if it's going to be a currency reset, America's going to have to bear the brunt. You would expect that to be the case. I mean, if we are going to go back currency, and America has been screwing over the whole world with its dollar, which is not backed by gold. And one
Hmm.
has to wonder, well, if the RV happens and the currency reset is given out, are the countries of the world going to say, America, screw you, you've caused enough trouble for us. We're not going to give you the chance to get in harmony with nature. You've been too much of a problem. But is that what's going to happen, or are we going to let America come along and work with the countries to so that we can actually live in harmony and maybe someday be done with money and get all the technology out there that can make us quit our 9 to 5 jobs, if you know what I mean?
I definitely know that is coming. um, Time frame, like you said, is the when question is still it's different and challenging to say, um, because there are still many potentialities that are essentially that could potentially happen. And so it's one of those things where, you have to take it one step at a time, day by day, moment by moment. But in regards to that, I feel like the the energy of money in itself is starting to shift. I mean, obviously, with everything going on, there's definitely, we can sense that there is a change. There will be more changes to come. But I think the idea of money and like how so you mentioned, how is the little guy, quote unquote little guy, so, how are they going to quote unquote make it? And I feel, so the first thing that was coming through was releasing the expectation of how we think it's supposed to be, or how, even trying to figure out, like, how am I supposed to um expand, or how am I supposed to you know make a living out of this. um it's one of those things that you have to be open to the unexpectedness, because so well, I'll just say this: we live in a quantum universe with infinite possibilities, infinite opportunities, but we've been conditioned to only see things from this lens, or only see things happening this way, only seeing money come this way. And we need to start to open up more to different ways and different forms of exchange, and different, um, like, even like bounce back different ideas in how this would happen. And so I'll give you a little example. Right now we're essentially, so we're in a friend of a friend's a friend of um, my partner's friend's land. And so she's essentially building sort of her own little sanctuary for people that are trying to exit the matrix, exit, the control system out there. And she calls it a lily pad, somewhere where you can come, you can reset, you can integrate, and again, clear and cut all the cords, and then go on to your next place, or go on to your next mission. And it's essentially on a right now we're like energetically exchanging, you know so on first of all, I think that's amazing, especially for someone that is kind of like us, that we're like, okay, we know we want to do more things, but we still have things to do. And one of the reasons that we left our city is because we just right now, with us doing our energy, our physical body ascension, and like all of our expenses were just too much. And so moving out here, it's allowed us an opportunity to just kind of reset, reassess, essentially save up, and do this beautiful exchange with her, where we're helping her out, she's helping us out, and it's beautiful. And so I feel, again, being open to different forms of exchange, not just money, maybe it's this kind of barter system that we may start to do in some areas. Who knows? And so, because that in itself is like, because sometimes you're like, oh, well, but I still have to pay for food, or I still have to pay for bills. But the thing is like, we are essentially, by doing that, we are less stressed. And when you're less stressed, you're more open. So we're opening ourselves up to new ideas, new business ventures, new partners, new ways of doing things that will probably not right away. We'll probably won't see it right away, but we're going to start to see it, maybe weeks, maybe months, and we're going to start to see, again, more, in our instance, more income. And so, you know, opening up to different ways of doing different streams of income. There's so many things. If you want to talk specifically, like, talk shows, there's so many things, and I mean, we could talk about that later, separately, if you'd like me to bounce some stuff off with you. um I'm well, I love like the internet marketing, internet business world is what I was doing before I did this. And so, and again, even that in itself is changing. I've had to just completely, kind of tear my rule book on how this works and how to make money online and how to market and how to do this, because once you start to shift, and just anchor higher and higher, it's just a completely different way of doing business, of doing marketing, of, again, exchanging. So it's quite fascinating. And I could tell you that it's coming. We're essentially the way showers and the trailblazers that are starting to, make more and more ripples. And as we continue to, do what we do and share our message, and even you continuing to do what you do, we're going to see the change. We're going to start to see um, more and more of new earth energies. It's just going to be, I mean, every single person is going to see it as, however they're, wherever they are, like wherever they are, energetically, personally, it's just going to be how they're seeing it. But us continuing to do what we do, I feel like, we definitely are paving the way to a completely different, financial system, e-commerce system, um, everything. But I also, so you mentioned money. Yes, I do believe that we won't have a monetary system. Again, this is probably not gonna happen in the next year or two, because it has to crumble first. Like, it has to completely um, clear. We have to clear all that mess first, and then bring new ways, or at least hold the energy so that new systems and new ideas and new realities start to show up physically.
Yeah, that's the case. And it raises the question, what can we do to speed up the process? I mean, a lot of people jump on the Trump train and think Donald Trump is here to make America great again. And I have no doubt that Donald Trump, the man, is very much interested in wanting to become the next JFK or the next old hickory Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was the one who famously said, "I killed the bank" before he
Mm,
died. And um, it was recently that Donald Trump put up portraits. He took down the portraits of Bill Clinton and George Bush and replaced them in the White House with the portraits of William McKinley and Theodore Roosevelt. Now, McKinley, he was assassinated by some guy who was probably a mind control patsy named Leon Czolgosz. Don't know if it was a real assassination or genuine assassination or if it was a patsy, but it's hard to believe that he wouldn't have been, because McKinley was trying to throw a monkey wrench into the globalists planned at that time, in that point in time, about 100 years before 9/11 happened. It's interesting how 9/11, the events of 9/11 happened exactly 100 years after the events of the William McKinley assassination, and then Theodore
Mm.
Roosevelt became the president after McKinley was assassinated. And Roosevelt seemed like a good guy, but he was on to some degree forced to make America a domestic empire with all the national parks and all. And it seems like a good idea to some people, but that's not what America is supposed to be. It's supposed to be for the people, not the government, not for the United Nations. And the brainwashing that comes around with the Democrats and the left nowadays, it seems like the left is the one that, politically speaking, is the one that is the powers that be are aligning the most with, because they're the ones who they see the system as the best way to control humanity. But then again, they're basically scurrying like rats in a basement at this point. They have nothing left to do. They're almost their overlords are gone. It's been said. Alex Collier said that they're Draco reptilian overlords that um, had been always being able to come from behind the curtain and say, "We're going to murder you if you step in and hijack our plan." Well, that's not going to happen now. So, because they don't have the luxury of having the overlords there to protect them. So, humanity is on for some great things, but we're on a rough road ahead. And astrologically speaking, you got November, April 8th, 2024 is that solar eclipse that is in Carbondale, Illinois. I'm going to try to be there for that day, and I hope the gods will make sure the clouds will allow for it to be a clear day that day. But up until then, America is basically in a American Revolution and Civil War, and it's like falling apart. And you look on the news and see what's going on, and they're talking about another civilization shutdown potentially happening. I mean, do you have anything to say about that, about the future and astrologically speaking, regarding the fall of America as the Roman Empire?
um, well, let me see. What do I have to say about it? I feel like we definitely have um, a lot to bring. America has a lot to bring. And I feel like at some level there might be a quote unquote kind of fall, so that we can rebuild. So, again, my view, my kind of feeling of it is that in order to really start kind of fresh and new, you kind of have to level the field in order to have this strong foundation. Now, I mean, I don't want to get to like, oh my gosh, what is she saying? Like, is it just like, is it going to be like apocalyptic or whatnot? No, I don't want to say that. I don't think it will be. I just think that there has, even if it's just in kind of behind the scenes, because there's so much happening behind the scenes that we don't know. It's not up in the news, right? And so even going through just the behind the scenes, um, clearing and collapsing and leveling of that field so that we can start new, so that we can start fresh. I mean, the U.S. being where it is in the world has a lot of has a lot of say and has a lot to contribute, and so there is definitely much more to come. But I feel I want to keep it in the positive of like, the US has a very strong energy. And, yes, it's been used for not so good things, but we are now shifting. Like the collective and the masses are shifting, whether they know it consciously or unconsciously, everything is shifting. And so we are now essentially making way for a new system, for a new foundation. And so everyone is going to choose personally what they want to experience. So for some people, yeah, they may go through, and obviously we're seeing this right now, very harsh, very challenging situations. And some of us, which, I mean, we all have, in a way, we all have had our challenges. We've all had to experience different scenarios that are challenging for each one of us. And so, people that are making way and saying, "Hey, there's a better way. There's a new way. Come on over." We're going to start to hold the space um, for a new foundation, and we're going to start to hold the frequency and the grid and the, whatever you call it, construct of the new, better, more enhanced, more upgraded, ascended way of living. And so, again, it's gonna be it's gonna be each person's individual choice. Do you want to sink down with a ship, or do you want to come over into our little lifeboat so that we can sail, into an island, into a much stronger foundation. And so, yeah, there's gonna be the separation of, like, the 3 and the 5D is going to be more apparent. It's gonna be more drastic. And everyone's going to have a choice, though. Everyone's going to, you know, go through whatever they choose to, and then wake up. There's so many people waking up right now, probably more so than we realize. And we're going to see more and more people choosing differently, choosing choosing the new, choosing something different. And so, in a more positive, again, my more positive, optimistic view is, like, it's exciting. It's exciting because, we're in, like they say, we're in this together. We're all going through something that we've never experienced in our lifetimes. But it is an incredible opportunity for all of us to, plant our own seed and, you be that ripple that's out with a big
Yeah,
grin on my face.
be the ripple in the river, and every little bit helps. And I've been doing my part, buying a lot of gold and silver jewelry and amulets, and not just for keepsake, for like in the economic reset, but also the metaphysical properties of the silver and the gold. It really does help me, I've discovered, and all these crystals and gemstones that I've bought. I see that you on your website have your image
Yeah.
has like crystals. I'm sure you're obsessed with crystals, and I am too. I went through the trouble of buying almost every crystal that I could based on astrologyanswers.com. That's my astrology horoscope of choice site, and I'm an
Uh-huh.
Aries, and they say what crystal you should use by the day. And I went through the trouble of going through every day, jotting which crystal was going to be used that day, and I bought all these crystals, and now I have a whole crystal caboodle on my altar, and I think it's going to do me well. And matter of fact, I also asked for a oyster and random color, and maybe you can help me see the significance in this. Of all the colors that the pearl in the oyster could have been, the color that I got was pink. What does that signify?
So for me, so one of the first thing that came through was um, soft and warmth. Um, yeah, I mean you could associate pink with love, which can be like loving, um, but for me it was more the soft warmth, kind of this embracing energy for you. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I did my wardrobe a dandy with all the clothes I bought. Basically, I got a rainbow of clothes and all. And there are people like George Kavaslis, and I can't help but pick on him. And I love him as a person. He's a great guy, but he always causes a brouhaha with his assertion that you should always just go with the heart. And because if you go with the heart, you can't do wrong because infinite love is the glue that connects us at our heart soul essence. And I hear him say that. I'm thinking, well, George, you're missing out on all the fun. Your variety is the spice of life. I mean, what's wrong with getting the third eye and the crown chakra involved and using other colors and all? And I mean, but the argument he makes is that the chakra system is that was used as a consciousness suppression mechanism during the fall of Atlantis. So if it's used as a conscious suppression, then it shouldn't be used at all. So I'm just going to go with the heart. Well, more power to you if you don't get bored doing that, but I like variety. I don't really resonate with that. How do you see the issue of chakras and colors and trying to incorporate them into your life? And I, as a matter of fact, before I give you the floor, I am in the process of downloading some upper chakras, really high chakra level things that I'm supposed to listen to activate them, the above the crown chakra. And all the George Cavazos followers would say you're wasting your time. But I'm thinking, no, I'm not wasting my time. I'm doing what needs to be done to be the best I can be in this third dimensional construct. So we agree to disagree, I guess. So what do you have to say about it?
Well, I think that it's, just you being able to open up to learning more about, the chakras, getting the upper chakras, ascension kind of chakras activated, learning about the colors. I mean, that in itself says, what, I feel like everyone at some level, should be diving deeper into, okay, what is this? What's my color? How do I work with it? Is there a crystal? How can I upgrade it? How can I amplify it? How can I unblock it? Um, so I think it's great. I think everybody should definitely start to dive into, the ins and outs of our energy, the energy centers, aura, auric field, your all of your different energy bodies, physical, mental, emotional, um, you know, everything is great. There is, I don't think there's right or wrong. I mean, because everyone is in their own individual journey, and everyone is, if you're being called and pulled to learn more and research and dive deeper, then absolutely go for it. You know, someone else may go into reflexology, or someone else may go into something else, and it's perfect for them. So I think it's just, honoring everyone, like you said, agree to disagree, but going deeper and deeper into our own chakras and bodies and thoughts and beliefs and emotions is so 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 important right now, because again, it's something that we haven't been really taught. This isn't in like something that we're taught in grade school. It's something that we haven't been truly been supported, for most of us.
You're breaking up.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Let me go.
okay. Well, I can hear you now.
Is that
Hope.
is that better?
Okay, yeah. I'm still recording. So, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go to another location, so that you can hear me a little better. I had to go to the road. Um, so in case you missed what I was talking about, how I think it's great that you're diving deeper into the chakras and the colors and the ascension chakras, because if you're resonating to do that, then absolutely you should. Everyone's going to be called to learn about something different, and that's part of their own individual journey. And so, like you said, agree to disagree, would probably be the right word. um, and continuing to dive deeper into the energy bodies, the energy centers, is super important right now, because it's something that we're not taught in grade school. So I think it's great.
Yeah, that is true. And well, I think we may benefit from making this an hour-long interview rather than 2 hours. And to be honest with you, all my listeners must know that I can't monetize on YouTube anymore. They're actually chomping at the bit, playing me for a sap regarding the um, where I'm eligible to monetize with ads. I did it on Independence Day, and they still haven't gotten back to me. So all my
Oh,
interviews are still being uploaded to cost.tv as well, and I will upload this one that I did with you to YouTube and cost.tv, and you're more than welcome to upload it to your channel
okay.
when I upload it. But with that being said, I want to give you the chance now to get out anything you like if you want to make a sales pitch out of this and get us on the road that we need to go on in this time of great awakening.
So sure. If so right now, with everything, there's a lot of great the great things that are coming, great things that are that I have coming up. But right now, if I do private sessions, private one-on-one sessions. I just started doing a clearing course, for anyone that is interested in kind of diving deep into clearing emotional, the emotional body, the mental body, and the physical body. So I'm starting that next week. But I will be doing this every month, so that I have given opportunity for people to come in, um, more, or I should say, so that I have more people, have to give an opportunity for more people to come and join us. And then, if you can always go to awakenwithsam.com. I have activations, recorded activations there, that I that you can purchase. You can purchase a recording, and building up my ascension, light body ascension tools. So if you are going through the ascension and light body activation, I'm building up a site in my website. You can see it right now with different things, different tools that will assist you. Um, and I just started my Patreon, so decided to get on that bandwagon and start to do different things, do more activations, more writings, host more things. So you can definitely, I have everything on my website, so just go to awakenwithsam.com, and I have, tons of free activations on YouTube. Blog, written activations as well on my blog. And so feel free to just browse around. If you have any questions, you can email me at awakenwithsam@gmail.com. And let's see, for my last little blurb. I think it's important to give yourself, and I actually did a video on this the other day, give yourself permission to detach and to break away and to go out in nature. Even, do what you love, do your favorite hobby. Essentially, in a way, at some level, completely forget and disconnect from what's going on outside. Because in order for every single one and as a collective to create something new and create a new reality, create a new experience, we cannot hold on to the old. We cannot be attached to the old. We have to. It's essentially like we have to clear our slate, completely wipe our slate clean, so that we're building on completely new energy. And so whatever that means, listen to your favorite music, build your sanctuary, like I said at the beginning. Get your crystals, play with your crystals, go out in nature, meditate, go for walks. And I will say this: travel. Even if you think that you have to conform to what's going on, I will obviously, can tell you, from experience, that when you're called to go, when you're called to move, to relocate, to do something, you sometimes have to completely forget about what's out there, and completely forget and even break the rules at some level, so that you can fully break free and move into higher ground. So breathe, take deep breaths throughout the day is also important. And like I said at the beginning, continue to connect with your body, your soul, your spirit, your heart. That, everything that you feel, your sense, that doesn't quite resonate, is not quite in alignment. At some level, you're going to have to let it go. And yet, yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, it's going to be painful. Oh my gosh, I can, tell you stories. But once you release it from your body, it's going to be so much better. And you're going to be much more free to go do what you were called to do. So thank you again for having me. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for working with me.
Thank you so much for enlightening people in this time of great challenge. Samantha Rodriguez, Awaken with Sam. Pleasure having you on. Namaste.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your trek with our infinite consciousness, and maybe we'll run into each other if synchronicity has its way. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.